Yeah, now I'm just doubting my whole theory again.
どうしました？難しい顔し
Asebi is
て。
so
脅
innocent
迫状が届い
that
た。
it's fooling me
脅
if
迫
she
状？
is tricking. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Stoneface Reactions. I'm Theta, and we are back with an episode of Yatagarasu. I mean, the next episode, not a episode. I guess there's not really much difference, but sorry, my brain just itself. Anyway, as per usual, we come back with notes and a board. So let's go ahead and start with the board, which as always comes with a board changelog. I connected Shoin to the four lords with the white line and Natsuka with a green line. I added Rokan's name now that we know it. For the time being, I've created an other category to handle someone like Rokan, a bodyguard of someone not in a house I'm aware of. I guess specifically because he is the bodyguard of a former royal who's joined the priesthood. So he himself is not a royal, is not a priest, and I don't know where he comes from. So, I connected Rokan to the prince with a white line. I added the empress to the southern house. I thought about adding Natsuka to the southern house as well, given his mother is from there, but it seems likely that he was raised in center, so wouldn't be sure about that yet. Sorry, I haven't said this name before. I added Atsufusa and connected him with a green line to Natsuka and a white line to the prince. I added a western house border to the prince's mother and then marked her as dead. And then I corrected the family lines coming from the emperor and the prince's mother to include Fujinami, because apparently they both had the same mother. I think before I had the emperor and her with just a line. I'm not certain why. Why? I guess because I didn't know which one was her mother, and now we know. So, obviously, there is still the location, but all I've done with that was I added Antifusia. Sorry, without his name in front of me, it just escapes me completely how to say it. All I did was add him to center. Other than that, no one is really moving around. Wait a second. What's this guy doing up here? Did I mess up? I don't have one of him down here too, do I? No. And okay, that's not who I thought it was. Yeah, okay, hold on. I need more room. There, I guess. Well, one, I guess I just forgot to move him. Nobody told me, I guess. Showing how many people are watching on the Patreon side. Um, I might just need to make the map bigger, because otherwise we're starting to overflow, and I'm actually starting to be concerned that maybe we're not going to go back to the other houses. That maybe this is all worthless, because it seems like everyone comes to the center and no one goes out anymore. Anyway, that's the board. That's the board changelog. So all we have left now is notes. So far, all the lore that we've gotten on the world has been about Yamauchi, the area where the four houses and the home of the royal family is. But we keep bringing up that the prince studied abroad. So I assume we are going to cover some element of what the greater world is like eventually. I mean, are the people, or the peoples rather, beyond Yamauchi also Yatagarasu? Are there more mythological creatures out there, or is the world beyond just our world, and the prince has been influenced by us? Stuff that I think we have to find out eventually to understand the point of view of the prince going wonky due to his travels. And I'm saying that because the point of view of the people who hold that truth to be true, right? Not so much that the prince is wonky. And, just it would be good to know what the rest of the world is like. I don't recall who I brought up during the reaction as standing for or opposed in the meeting, so I'm noting it here. Genya of the North questions having the meeting without the prince, but only agrees to support the prince in his ascension on the terms that he seeks a wife after the events of the meeting. Akira of the West indicates that the prince is a true Kinyu, and that's all that's needed, and continues on this track after the events of the meeting. Toru of the South points out that the birth of the Kinyu heralds dark times, but demurs from objection after the events of the meeting. And Haruhito of the East indicates that the argument over such things could cause those dark times, but also demurs from objection after the events of the meeting. I'm not sure why I found it such a sticking point that the door unlocked on the prince's word, like magic. This is a world of shape-changing crows. I guess it's just that it introduces the conceit that this is something that can be done, where it didn't exist before. Thus, now I'm left to wonder what other what other mystical effects like this are out there. So my which house does the Empress support question finally got answered. She's of the Southern House, which may go some ways towards explaining why Hamayu's attitude is the way it is. Also, Toru's lore-based stance against the prince. I am still a bit confused about the prince's confronting of the emperor. I get what he is saying, the problem of having two Kinyu, two emperor, two emperai, emperors. The emperor is of the hierarchical Kinyu, established via position and tradition. The prince is not only supposed to become Kinyu, but is also a true Kinyu by birth. So in one respect, it's the prince usurping the emperor. On the other, it's Christ replacing Herod. One should cause an uprising. The other should see some sort of religious-based argument. But everyone in the room just rolls with it. I don't know if that's a matter of biding time, like now they need to go back to their power bases and plot rather than playing their hands here and now, or if this is it. I know we have that Natsuka thing at play, but I'm referring to the lords and the royals in this instance specifically. On the Natsuka front, when the prince asks if he would be willing to swear fealty to him to prove that he has no ambitions to the throne, they go out of their way to have Natsuka make a gasping noise over it. That doesn't play well to the show, the way that the show has expressed him like a chess master, it feels like so far. Assuming that this is how I'm meant to perceive him anyway. He was taken aback by such an obvious move against him. The classic archetype would be to keep everything internal and attempt to play things out later. I'm not complaining about it, mind you. It just seems to go against the mold it seemed like they were developing for him. I suppose there could also be some sort of mirrored story developing as Yukiya is dead set to see his older brother lead the family, where we have a question on Natsuka and his younger brother. Yukiya and the prince are also born from outside of the normal family lines. It just seems like Yukiya is matching and mirroring a number of main characters in the show. As we go on, it seems like that's going to be some sort of larger development comparison. The prince says he will ascend to the throne in a year, and by then he will take a wife. Natsuka says, and I have to think loudly enough to be heard, 1 year. Until then, no matter what. And given his cold-ass stare, can't be anything but a warning to everyone in earshot of him. It's something that comes up a lot in anime, where for some reason they want to have the character talk out loud, but also loud enough that people can hear him, and it's always like, for them rather, and it's always something like super negative. Like If one person heard you, you'd be fucked. You could have, like, had him think it in his head, but well, maybe he did. I'm pretty sure I saw his mouth moving, though. My final note here. So the assassins died to poison, but it didn't look like it was poison that they administered to themselves, like a cyanide capsule or anything. And my mind wanders back to the magic word door lock again. Were they given poison that could be activated later, or at a distance? Sumio says fast-acting poison, but it doesn't seem plausible that they got poisoned before the fight. Otherwise, these guys would have died mid-fight. I mean, if poison at a distance is a thing that exists, then everything could be a danger. For sure, something I hope gets covered more later, the poisoning, I mean, to be able to parse it out, what the dangers has in store for this world. Because again, if that's just something that can happen, I kind of need to know as a viewer that it can happen. And I feel like I'm kind of wondering now, because of what happened here, it could have been that they were poisoned ahead of time and they just thought this was going to be how long it took. But think about it, how that doesn't work out. Legitimately, you have your guys dying to poison mid-fight, in which case, what would that serve? They capture the guy, they start taking him away, and they just all die to poison, and he's like, what, standing there? It is foolhardy, at best, I think, to consider this to be a good plan. It only makes sense in my mind as a good plan to think that they could remotely activate the poison, in which case that guy's talking. Kill him with poison. Those guys ran away. Kill them with poison. Anyway, like I said, that was the final note, so nothing left to do here but to hop on in and see what we get.
But before we get started,
Make sure that you hit the like button.
hit that subscribe button.
Comment down below to feed that algorithm.
On top of all that, if you want to watch more shows like this, unfiltered,
Uncensored.
And uncut.
as well as some early access stuff,
You can check it out over on the Patreon.
It's just $5 a month, but hey, no pressure.
There's zero pressure in order to do that. It's just a little bit of extra support, and it would be greatly appreciated.
So we've gone from the pleasure district to a gambling den. Is it the ravine valley thing we left last episode in? I mean, obviously, I think these people are cheating, but also the fact he's a Kinyu. But also, I don't think it much matters to him, considering he's a prince with prince's funds, right? Oh, that explains the I'm sorry from last time. I remember the You Monster bit, but could have sworn that he was apologizing as he was being dragged away too. I have to assume, given the fact that last episode featured the whole "Will you become my aide" thing, that he isn't just doing it for no reason. You know, kind of like what I said before about the element of, is he giving him all these jobs as a test? And then I went all over this thing trying to figure out if all of the jobs put together actually served as some sort of test thing. And the only thing I focused on was the whole water element. And it turns out that they actually were a test. They just were essentially a very basic test. Can you get the job done in a day and figure out the things that need to be done versus the things that don't need to be done? And none of the other people were able to do that. That this is just going to be another test of some sort. It's either that or it's going to be training. Because I think last time when I saw the next time on, I was thinking, what's his name? Sumi? Sorry, I'm forgetting names. His bodyguard. that he's been with since he was a kid. That maybe this is a territory where that guy learned to be hard, and this is Yukia's opportunity to become a stronger individual.
Yukiya, それが終わったら鳥羽の掃除だ。
はい。
で、掃除が終わったら。
はいはい。宿の布団干しですよね。
分かってたらもたもたすんな。
ゆきちゃん頑張って。はーい。
Oh. This is just Yukiya turns into Mao Mao from Apothecary Diaries.
けどもう一月半だよ。あの子やっぱり若様に捨てられちゃったんじゃないかな。
A month and a half, and he's only got to be with the other guy for a year. Okay, maybe this is just how to get him out of the way so he's not in danger for whatever the prince is doing right now. Punch to the face. I mean, expected. That's what I would have thought. Again, in my head, I'm still elevating the prince above where he might actually be. I'm assuming he was just getting this kid out of the way for a bit. Because we already know he's relatively good with the sword, but I assume he still needs to be trained to be on the other kid's level. What a kid.
あのような隧道がこの中央山にはアリの巣のごとく走っている。出入り口は大抵野山の藪に隠されるか、寺や屋敷の
You know, kind of like where he was spying on the hall from.
夜な夜なお忍びで出かける宮ガラス様の
噂じゃ迷ってのたれ死んだ奴が山ほどいるって話だ。お前も使うときは気をつけろよ。
ところでユキヤ、私も反省したのだ。お前には苦労をかけてしまった。
Learn my lesson. Always bet on even.
今日はその労をねぎらおうと思う。老主、今夜は掃除前だ。
かしこまりました。
綺麗どころをすべて集めて。
そういうのいいですから。
Yeah, I mean, he didn't like it when you did that last episode. It's been a month and a half since then, but it still seems like he would like that.
谷合の遊女宿に妙に場違いな一行が連れ立ってきて。どいてどいて。
失礼しちゃうわよね。私を指名しときながらお酌はいらないって言うんだから。
You think Roko is a foreigner?
夏カ派というのをお前は聞いたことがあるか？
そうか。これは。
So I gotta wonder if the Yatagarasu are gonna be like thin-boned or something for the element of being part birds, and that the heavier people are foreigners. Oh, that would be meta, wouldn't it? Fucking Americans. Don't know what the hell this was. Gonna be one of those I'm gonna kill everyone in this room to get rid of loose ends thing, is it?
夏香様はご存知なのですか？夏香様には伝えておらぬ。お伝えする価値もない。なぜなら今日の目的は 腐った根っこを引き抜いて皆の前に晒し者にする。ただそれだけだからな。
Maybe I'm wrong.
そうだな、和道。
Maybe Natsuka is behind his brother and is eliminating his own followers?
これでお前が若宮のそば使いになる話は取り消し
Oh wow, I forgot about this guy.
苦労して手に入れたのに。
カズマロの父親が夏カ派。なぜホッケ系列の宮ガラスが。夏カ派は南家が中心と聞いていたのに。
何をおっしゃいます、ロコン殿。1ヶ月半前、賊を使って若宮殿下を暗殺しようと企んだな。そして無様にも失敗した。
I mean, it also
まあ
looks bad to track back to the northern
そ
house.
のために行動を起こしたとしてもだ。それでは拭いきれぬ致命的な誤りを貴様は犯した。何のことやら、私は何も知りません。そもそも殿下が襲撃されたなどというのも初。
I mean, he did have them all poisoned to death before they could.
あまり舐めてくれるなよ、和道。証拠は上がっているのだ。貴様、賊に毒を飲ませただろう。
Does the poison come from the
景
north?
気づけにと襲撃直前の振る舞い酒の中に入れて、その中に一人だけ下戸がいたのだ。そいつは酒を飲まなかった。だが仲間が次々と倒れるのを見てすっかり震え上がり、保護を求めて寺に逃げ込んだ。その寺がなんと名教員だったのよ。
The stupidest way to survive a poisoning. That's why none of my D&D characters ever eat or drink with everyone else.
そいつは生きた証拠となり、お前をたどってその類は夏香様にまで及ぶだろう。その時貴様はどう責任を取るつもりだ。私は何度も言っていたはずだ。決して早まってはいけない。そしてどうせやるならうまくやれと。
Isn't this itself a rash move, though? Just how you can explain where this guy went when he just suddenly is dead?
カズミチ殿、大丈夫ですか？
あの宮ガラスは確か夏香様の側近。
Yeah, the name I can't pronounce.
暑さ、姿が見えぬゆえ、何かやましいことでもあって隠れているのかと思った。
正気の沙汰とは思えませぬ。このことがホッケに知られたら完全に我らの敵に回りますよ。
あお、それゆえ内密にやっているのだ。
護衛の
Yeah.
その権限が終わりかどうか、あの方に判断していただくしかありません。
Again, how's this going to explain him getting beaten or being dead?
一体何の騒ぎだ、ロコン。これは夏香様。
Oh, I mean, that does explain that he was the guy in the first episode, like I thought he was.
ご心配には及びません。
ロコン殿はあなた様のご意向を傘に暴虐の限りを尽くしております。ホッケを味方につけるため夏香様がご尽力されていることもすべて水泡に帰してしまうやもしれません。いや、それどころか。
夏香様、私があなたのためにこれまで力を尽くしてきたことはあなたもよくご存知のはずだ。私を信じていただけませんか。
I don't know. I would have preferred if my dude here went the intelligent way and not the brutish way.
和道、私は不思議でならないのだ。お前のような小心者がこんな大それたことをするのかと。
Okay, but if Rokon himself is thinking, that's different.
はけ和道。私はただ若宮さえいなくなればと、夏香様が次のキングになられる。純粋にそのお手伝いをと。夏香様のお名前を使い、貴様は借金を繰り返しているな。こともあろうにそれを踏み倒した挙句、山ガラスからも勝手に取り立てていると聞く。
カズミチ殿がそのような。
How would he be taking those loans without people knowing he was tied to him? I mean, that would be already known information.
あ 焦っていたという話も聞くな。若宮暗殺に成功すれば夏香様に取り立ててもらえると思ったか。そしてこれまでの悪行を帳消しにしてもらえると。夏香様、おじきをどうかお助けを。
I mean, it's already pretty much too late. He gave Rogan the go-ahead to do whatever the fuck he was gonna do.
皆の者、しかと見るがいい。夏香様のご意志に反したものの。
I love this fucking beat that's in the background. So we're like a couple of guitars away from a Black Sabbath song. I don't know, man. You're turning into the worst kind of evil villain. The one that kills his own minions in front of his other minions. At the end of the day, you killed one of your own pawns because he was a bad pawn.
よくわからないんですが、夏香派の中で夏香様はどういうお立場なんでしょうか。つまり、
夏香自身は何も指示しない。周囲が夏香を担ぎ上げ、勝手にその胸の内を忖度して動く。それが夏香派であり、正体の見えにくい理由だ。
そうか。
I mean, it also pretty much sucks now that we have a guy killing you if you don't do the right imagined thing.
ロコンも言ってましたけど、和道が事前に賊に毒を飲ませておくほど気の回る男には見えなかったんで、夏香様の指示かなって。でも今の話を聞く限り、
まあ根拠に乏しいな。
ですよね。
ロコンに脅されても、和道は他に名前を出さなかったんだよな。
はい。皇后様という説は
大ありだ。だが確実な。
Yeah, but I also don't think she would do anything directly. I mean, maybe through Shion? Or that other girl that met and talked to Asebi? Fujinami's assistant, was it?
和道の暴走に少しでもお前が責任を感じているのなら、それは的外れだ。遅かれ早かれ、あの男は同じようなことをしでかしただろう。だからお前は何も気にする必要はない。
I mean, also the fact that you were there for the assassination, so you were in danger too.
もらった金は返すからこっちに譲ってくれないかと。もちろん断ったがな。
殿下。
なんだ。
今もらった金って。
うん。あそこは金さえ出せば何でもやってくれるから。
やっぱりそういうことか。
ん？
最初からご存知だったんですよね。夏香の会合があるって。だから僕を谷合に放り込むようなことをしたんでしょ。
話してなかったか？
聞いてません。僕はね、本当に売り飛ばされたと思ったんです
Again, there always seems to be some greater purpose to whatever the prince does. Although I don't fall into that because eventually there will be a time where there is no greater purpose.
今度こそ若宮殿下はおいでになりますでしょうか。そりゃそうよ。
It's been a month and a half.
東殿ではとりわけ重要な儀式ですもの。この日のために妃候補の姫君たちは皇太子に贈る着物を自分と揃いで1年かけて縫い上げて、それぞれの屋敷の前に飾るの。皇太子が袖を通せば、
I have really no thoughts about
姫君は樹大濃厚
this is what, Western House?
若宮殿下あっての七夕というわけですか。
She just seems like hoity-toity. Not like Asebi, who I secretly think is a villain. Mura, who apparently is associated with this somehow.
少しは手を動かしなさい。はい。聞くの？はい。若宮様からの文はあった？いえ、まだ。そう。
Oh, that's right. She was sewing her own robe. I forgot about that.
多分他の姫たちもまだ。大丈夫でございますか？大げさなのよ、聞くのは。気が散るから、もう行ってちょうだい。きっと七夕にはお越しになります。親方様が殿下には強く書簡でお願いされたそうですから。できた。ようございました。若宮様もお喜びになるでしょう。
Wasn't it Hemora who was even specifically pointing out how innocent can a person be in reference to asebi?
気持ちだけで十分ですよ。姫様はのんびりことでも弾いていてください。
姫様、宗家の女房がご面会をと。宗家の？
I feel like this is just like the prestige, right? That's the woman I was referring to before, by the way.
すみません。七夕の準備でお忙しいかと思ったのですが。むしろ暇なの。
That asebi is going to turn out to be an assassin, and she's not lowering the facade until the job is done.
本当よ。でも仕方ないわよね。東電して身に染みたの。私って何も知らないし何もできない。ここにいる資格なんてないんだわ。私はそうは思いません。
Now I'm thinking she is going to help asebi because she's going to buy into the innocent play going on here. It's all going to backfire in her face too.
お出しくださいませ。藤波様より贈り物を預かってまいりましたよ。まあ、納言だわ。なんて立派な。浮雲という名があるそうです。浮雲。
Although now that I'm thinking about it, the only thing dissuading me from that point is the fact that she is an old friend of Fujinami. So unless they're all evil, maybe it's not an act. Sorry, I just think I'm going to be second guessing myself all the way now. I don't know what the significance of Drifting Cloud is. If they were telling it while I was in my own head, I apologize. It's the prince, isn't it? And Yuki's older brother? That couldn't be Yuki's older brother. Wrong side of the valley. Yeah, now I'm just doubting my whole theory again. Asebi is so innocent that it's fooling me if she is tricking.
要するにこれまでの殿下の怠慢には目をつぶってやるから今度の七夕には晩鐘繰り合わせの上是が非でも嫌が王でも絶対に大花宮に来るようにってこれ。
ああ、祭家の当主からだ。
なんだ、脅かさないでくださいよ。
あの男は自分の娘が受代すると信じて疑わないから何としても私を来させ。
I mean, she's the one that I have the least suspicions about. Which is suspicious.
でも七夕か。さすがにこればっかりは欠席じゃまずいのでは。殿下、
行きたくない。お頼み申す。若宮殿下にお目通りを。ご無礼承知でお願いつかまつります。
Legitimately enemy at the gates. Okay, I did not know where the episode was going to end. I guess that's like the perfect place for it to end, but at the same time, I don't know, I thought we were going to go back to the Cherry Blossom Palace again. Because we only covered 2 of the prospects there. Again, I don't know what her thing is about. They listed her as just being obstinate. Like, was that the whole thing? Again, if she was the assassin and is a horrible play, I'm going to get close to him by not being anywhere around him. And to be fair, if she is, she's trying too hard. Although at the same time, I'm blaming asebi, or not blaming, I'm pointing a finger at asebi, and I would say she is trying the hardest. So, I don't know. And her, clearly, she's got the Empress on her side, pushing that whole angle. So, I don't know. I think the element is that asebi is too innocent, or maybe, maybe Hamiya's, her little insipid mind play thing is just working on me way too strong. Because I started off saying I'm 100% on Asebi's side, and now I'm like Lady Gokyo from Apothecary Diaries.
夏香の側近厚房予期せぬ客人に若宮はある頼み事をする。七夕の大家具asebiがつまびくことの調べが女たちの心を波立たせる。次回七夕の誘い。
I mean, it seemed like they were invoking that sorry, I don't forgot the name of it, the musical instrument had some sort of power effect. Because, the head lady in waiting is looking at it, and there's like little cherry blossoms coming out of it, but I don't know if that's just also asebi looking at it and then remembering her own first love thoughts, right? I don't know what's mystical and what's imaginary right now. This is very much, I keep wanting to say Game of Thrones, but it's not Game of Thrones. Early Game of Thrones, maybe, but later on, Game of Thrones gets a bit more obtuse about what's going on, so it's a lot less political play. And off the top of my head, I can't really think of what is as political as I think was going on here. Natsuka's aide may be put off by how brutal Natsuka is allowing things to be, and maybe that's why he's reaching out. He wants to contain his belief in Natsuka, but at the same time doesn't want things to go the way that they're going. Not exactly certain. I guess, on that element, there's only one way to find out, and that's next episode. At the same time, though, I don't feel like we're getting enough of the Cherry Blossom Palace to really recognize who's at play or with what. Hopefully, when I take my notes for next time, I'll have the wherewithal to really examine, give thought to the positions of the girls, but the element that it's essentially like a mafia game or a werewolf game, right? There's a killer amongst us. Except from their perspective, I don't think that they themselves know, except for, clearly the one that's a killer. And not for nothing, the prince was told this, but that doesn't make it true. So there could be no killer. And I'm like going a 180 on asebi, and asebi is just an innocent girl the whole time. I don't think so. I don't think anyone in this world is innocent. Even Yukiya had a face, and then in a dark room turned that face around and nearly killed a guy. So, who's to tell? I think like I'm gonna need a number more episodes in before we really figure this out and see where we're going. As it stands, though, really like it. I wish the Prince stuff wasn't so. I'm gonna do a thing. It's gonna seem weird at first, and then when you come back, it's all gonna make sense. I get that, like with the test, and now we have the ravine, and it's like, okay, I get the ravine thing. Let's not do this again, though. Especially also the element that it wasted a month and a half, and we know we have less than a year total. So that was quite a bit of time on this one thing. Now, either way, I think that's it for now. Of course, as before, I will come back with notes to update and my real thoughts on things, more so than my first touch opinion. So, until then, once again, I have been Theta, this has been Stoneface Reactions, and we will catch you next time. Bye-bye.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching another Stoneface Reactions. If you have an idea of another video we could go ahead and watch, go ahead and put it in the comments down below and we'll add it to the wheel. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and let us know what you thought about this video, what parts you liked. And until then, we'll see you next time. Is this too goofy?